It's a fact. Most people get into business because they want to increase or maximize their disposable income. I want to say this, that there's nothing wrong with having that desire to increase your disposable income. But in business, there are more important things than just looking at increasing profits. I would normally say to each and every one of my executives and each and every one that I would have ever trained in marketing that one of the most important things for you to consider when desirous of maximizing your disposable income is to understand the needs, the wants, and the expectations of your target market. Understanding those needs and wants, they're so important. Why? Because it is your business to be able to reach and exceed the delivery of the expectations of your customer. You want to position your organization where your organization can deliver above and beyond the expectations of your target market. You see, when you start to take this kind of approach in doing business, you will then be able to significantly increase your profits. This also will allow you to stay one step ahead of your competition. Because doing business, you're not in business alone. You have the competitive factors to consider. And when you fail to look at all these factors, you can be setting yourself up for dissatisfaction. I want to ask a question. That question is, what steps are you taking to differentiate your products, your services, and your brand from your competition? Brand identification and brand differentiation are important elements of your business that you should understand. What is or are your USP? What is your unique selling proposition? You can build your USP around the quality of your products or services, the pricing of your products or services, product positioning, or product promotion. And of course, there are many other things that you can do to build what I call the unique selling proposition of your organization. What I want us to do today is examine the 4 elements of branding and marketing, which I've just highlighted. The first is the quality of your product. You see, you need to understand the type of product that you want to introduce into the market. And more important about introducing that product to your market is to understand how you want to brand your form with that product. For instance, you can make a conscious decision that the kind of products that you're going to be introducing to the market is going to be a premium brand. So that clearly established that you're targeting the middle class and the upper class and those who have disposable income to invest in your premium brand product. And this is how your firm will be branded as an organization, as a business, as a firm that is structured to provide a premium brand quality product to a specific demographic. In setting up your business, you need to understand these factors. You can also make a decision that the quality of your product is not going to be the premium brand. It's going to be the supplementary or the complementary brand. Why? Because you might believe that there is more consumers of that brand of products or services. Even in doing this, you need to understand how to differentiate that product or that service from your competition. Because if you're doing the same thing that everybody else is doing, there's no reason for people to come to you. There's no reason for people to be inspired by what you're doing. And this is why it's so important for you to identify your USP. It's important for you to identify ways that you can differentiate in the delivery of your products and your services. And you have to work the angle until you achieve the objective. The other thing that you can look in terms of branding your form is pricing. You know, there are some people that gets into business that believe that when you drop the price, the company will ultimately achieve its financial objectives or achieve its objective of appealing to a mass audience. That is not necessarily so. In developing your price strategy, it's important for you to also understand your target market. I want to say this to you, sometimes when you underprice your product, you can lose an entire demographic. And sometimes when you overprice your product, you can also lose your target market. So it's important for you to develop what we call that personal relationship with your target market. You must put yourself to that point where you can make the right connection with your target market. Because when you understand your target market based on their needs and their wants and their expectations, you have a clear sense of understanding of how much they are willing to pay for a product or a service. You can then do accurate pricing. Some of us, we price ourselves out to the market. Some of us, we underprice ourselves, and because we underprice ourselves, we shape a negative public perception to our demographic, and our target market now look at that product as a product that doesn't satisfy their interest because it's too cheap. So it's not about making a product cheap. It's not about making a product too expensive. You just have to be on target, and that means you have to ensure that you put yourself in a position of no at all times. You must understand your target market, and you must use that information to then position your organization to achieve the competitive advantage. There are other things that you need to look at in building your brand and positioning your brand, and that brings me to look at the next topic, and that is product positioning. Now, it doesn't make sense to have an excellent product. It doesn't have sense to have a product and to know your target audience, but then your product or your services, they are not easily accessible to your target market. So you must invest in ensuring that whatever product and services that you're producing, after you would have identified who your target markets is or are, that they can have easy access to your products and your services. Failing to look at this factor and failing to take all the necessary steps to position your products or your service into the market can be another factor why your business is not growing the way it ought to grow. So these are very, very important factors and elements of business that you should understand, and you must be able to apply these principles to your business growth and your business development. Now, once you would have gone through the first three steps, which is ensuring that you have a quality product that is relevant to your target market, you ensure that the product is appropriately priced based on your target market needs, wants, and expectation, and their willingness to pay. And now you would have positioned your product at strategic points where your target market can have access to it. The next step for you to be able to do now is promoting that product. And what promotion entails, it means that you must produce your radio ad, your television ad, your newspaper ad. You must be able to use the right medium of exchange to get to your target market. That may not be the easiest thing, because you might simply just go and put your ad on radio and television, but you need to understand something about your demographic, your target market, that goes beyond just putting your ad on television. You need to invest in understanding what programs your target markets are looking at and what time they're looking at those programs. And then it's the time that you would use to place your ads, because you know that you're reaching your demographic. You know, there's something in promotion and marketing and advertising that we call the dashmar of advertising, defining advertising goal for metro advertising effectiveness. You just don't put an ad out because you want to put an ad out. You put an ad out because you want to attain maximum impact in terms of viewership, and you want to be able to now leverage that viewership into usership of your products and your services. So these are very, very important steps for you to consider when going into the business. I want to say this, in closing. If it is that we want to manage a modern business, if it is that you want to grow a business that is relevant to domestic, regional, and international need, and we want to attain the competitive advantage in doing so, we have to start thinking like the managers and the leaders who are willing to invest in nurturing the next generation of global thinkers, social actors, and transformational leaders. You need to know that you have the human capital within your organization that are proactive. You need to ensure that you have the human capital that understands what is global business and what is global trend and what steps to take to ensure that they can take your company to the next stage of development. You see, and this is one of the reasons why we have designed global branding and marketing the way it is designed, is to be able to provide you with the training, your staff with the training, is to be able to give you the kind of support system to build your brand and integrate your brand into world trade. The aim is not only integrating your brand and your services into world trade, but we want to integrate it in such a way that it can compete and win. And that's why we were investing so much of time in designing these programs and in giving you the kind of content that will help your executive to transition into the next corporate innovators who can leverage that innovative thinking, that creative thinking, to carry products and services to the world. Ladies and gentlemen, I trust that you would have enjoyed this short podcast. My name is Gary Thompson. I'm a business development consultant by profession. I'm a humanitarian by nature, and I'm the author of the book Self-Application Best Practices. In the next program, I want to look deeper to the concept that I have just introduced, and that is, what steps can you take as entrepreneurs and corporate innovators to ensure that you are nurturing the next generation of global thinkers and social actors and transformational leaders, because every organization needs proactive leaders. Every organization needs the transformational thinkers, and every organization needs that global thinker that understands global business and can take the necessary steps to ensure that they can take your products and your services into the world. So I want to encourage you to continue listening to this program and take good care of yourself until we meet again in the next podcast. I'm Gary once again, and I want to say it has been a pleasure being with you.